Kristi Noem throughout 2025 has had an absolute ball, dressing up in all sorts of costumes, marching around America, invading different cities and brutalizing communities. It's been great, bucket list achieved. But the fun might be coming to an end soon, thanks to a lawsuit that is suing the Trump administration and the DHS over the absolutely insane use of tear gas in residential areas over long periods of time, absolutely terrorizing people. And all that already sounds bad. But what makes it even worse is the lawsuit alleges that they were only really doing it to make right-wing grifters impressed, which is the worst possible reason to use that on American citizens. And so this complaint was filed just a few days ago by 9 residents of Gray's Landing in Portland, Oregon. They argue that for the past 6 months, federal agents have indiscriminately deployed tear gas, smoke grenades, pepper balls, and other chemical agents in mass volume with fumes that seep through windows and vents, accumulate in hallways and bedrooms, and bind to walls, carpets, clothing, furniture, and children's toys. They talk about these yellow gas clouds and people, including kids, developing persistent coughs and burning eyes and throats, dizziness, headaches, basically making the area unlivable. And again, the vast majority of these people, full-on American citizens, their entire lives just being constantly abused, brutalized by the Trump administration, which doesn't care. They don't care about these communities. Some deployments, the lawsuit alleges, were not to address any real danger, but to, quote, put on a show for conservative influencers who had been invited by Kristi Noem and the DHS to film the protests for propaganda purposes. And we've seen this, we've reported on this, even in that particular area. You might recall when Benny Johnson and some other people, they had gone and they go up on a rooftop with Kristi Noem, and all of them performatively, or maybe really, talk about how terrified they are of the mob. And then the camera pans over and it's like 4 dudes and someone in a chicken suit. And that's what this whole thing was about. We just have to produce something that makes all conservatives as scared as these little B-boys got when they saw the chicken suit dude twerking. And so that's bad enough. That's embarrassing enough. It's an abuse of government resources. But when you're also traumatizing people, injuring children to do it, no, there need to be legal consequences for that. Somebody's got to get locked up. And so we can talk about some of what happened. There are people, domestic abuse survivors, who'd been shot in the head by an abuser, saying that the blasts and the fumes are triggering constant panic. 2 girls aged 7 and 9 apparently sometimes sleep in their father's closet to feel safer and like they're away from the fumes. And so this is called an unconstitutional poisoning. It definitely seems to be so. And I hope that this lawsuit is wildly successful. Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, we got lawsuits, man. We've got all this stuff happening. I'm sure they have a certain level of evidence if they're putting this forward. Why isn't it transitioning over into accountability legally? I mean, jail time for the people who do this stuff. Who's in charge of that? Like I said, I don't have a super grasp on which folks and officials that have been put in positions where they're supposed to look out for the American people, even if you're in the minority, why people aren't pushing for actionable things to happen to criminal behavior. Chemical agents in people's communities, terrorizing folks as they keep talking about domestic terrorists or people that they're gonna deem terrorist organizations, as they literally terrorize American cities, all for the sake of what I just talked about. It's all about the PR, whatever they think is good PR. So let's throw some more smoke grenades, tear gas at folks like they did in Chicago. We saw that happen too. Greg Bovino caught some minimal consequences for that, and he had to run his ass out of the state. It's the only thing that ever happens. They just get pushed from the next conflict to the next conflict where they continue to attack people. When is somebody gonna do something? See, it's gonna get to the point. If the folks that should be doing something at a federal level, at any kind of official level, after they don't continuously, and they're looking maybe to campaign off it, and they're waiting for midterms in 2026 to do something, folks in the streets who are tired of their children having to sleep in the closet because they're terrorized, or whose wife got shot in the head by some pepper ball gun, or who themselves have been terrorized and detained for 24 hours before they get released when they knew they're American citizens in the first place. Eventually, people are gonna be like, well, there's no one left, there's no lines of defense. Looks like we're back at what all these right-wing militias keep talking about, is this overreaching government who's trying to destroy us and kill us. Time to pull out some guns. Like at some point, the folks who refuse to do things the right way, you're gonna be also responsible for the next level of these conflicts that'll begin to happen in the streets at levels that, again, this administration can't wait for. That's what they want happening. That's why they're ratcheting this up.
Yeah, that's probably why they want those new deployments at the beginning of 2026.